Hi Libra, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly horoscope for the month of July. And we are in the middle of eclipse season, so it's very intense energy. And eclipses occur every 6 months. And generally we have two eclipses, but this time we have three. We've already had two. So it makes things much more hectic and frenzied. And eclipses usher much change and usually in a very unexpected way. Things can be brought to light that we never knew, that hidden information gets revealed, but also just a lot of change in a very unpredictable and often chaotic manner. Eclipses can also eclipse people and situations from our lives, and they can usher in very major new beginnings. So just to give a background of the eclipses, we had a lunar eclipse on June 5th at 15 degrees of Sagittarius, and that fell in your house of communication and thoughts and ideas. Maybe you got some interesting information that you didn't know, or certainly people hearing from somebody from the past or people from the past. It could be that you're reconnecting to a certain thing that you're learning. And I think that's underscored even further by the fact that your ruler, Venus, which only retrogrades once every year and a half, was retrograde from May 13th until June 25th in Gemini, which is a fellow air sign ruled by Mercury, a lot around gathering and dispersing information. And that Venus retrograde, which occurs every 8 years in this sector of your chart, was in the house of publicity, promotion, higher learning, and education. So there's a lot around going back to school, because also to add to that, the nodes of fate re-entered your ninth house of higher learning. And the nodes of fate transit for approximately 18 months. So the nodes of fate entered the Capricorn Cancer axis in November of 2018, and they just changed signs and entered the Sagittarius Gemini axis on May 5th of this year, and will be there until January of 2022. So the North Node of Fate is transiting in your house of promotion and publicity, but also higher learning and education. So it's an excellent time to brush up on skills and to go back to school or take some classes or workshops that enhance your skills. And I think that, again, you could get some more information, or maybe you are going a new route with your belief systems, because the ninth house, is about learning about new ways of thinking or different ways of thinking, or your spirituality. It's the house of faith and optimism, and a lot around learning, which the nodes of fate in Gemini and Sagittarius are anyway. But this is a good time for you to really utilize that energy. And so the other thing is that with Mars in Aries, it's a cardinal fire sign. It's very intense. It's in that it's really, all forward motion. All cardinal signs launch things. You're more like the iron fist in the velvet glove, but Aries is ruled by Mars, and it's a cardinal fire sign that wants action, and it wants it immediately. And it's great to get things done and to take initiative and catalyze things. But it's also, Mars in Aries can be very impatient and fiery, and it's transiting in your house of relationships. And so could be that you get into a new romance, and it's definitely good for your romantic life. But at the same time, Mars is going to retrograde in the sector of your chart from September 9th until November 13th. So if you're partnering in a professional manner, because, the seventh house of relationships where Mars is transiting is, primarily the house of romantic partnerships, but it's all sorts of relationships, your clients, colleagues, people that you partner with professionally, friends. So it's a time where you're really going to be partnering with a lot of people, but you could also be arguing with a lot of people, because that's where Mars is transiting. So be wary of getting triggered, Libra. So and Mars is going to set off the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that began the year around mass death and rebirth and renewal and transformation and collapsing of old structures, because Saturn and Pluto met up at the world axis at 22 degrees of Capricorn. They hadn't met up, and also the south node of karma was in Capricorn at that time still. Jupiter expanding that narrative close to the south node, release, letting go. And at that time, the sun was in Capricorn, and Mercury was translating it, giving us the story about this. So hitting the whole world, permanently changing it. And it's a big deal because whenever a planet's transiting in a cardinal sign, it sets that off. So for you, that story of restructuring and collapsing of old structures, but repair and renovation and rebuilding is in your house of home and family and emotional, in your emotional foundation, how you get your needs met. So there could be a lot of change around real estate, around your home. Perhaps you're fixing up your home, you're renovating it. That is a big focus for you this year. Saturn briefly entered the sign of Aquarius, which is your house of romance and creativity, and it entered that house for you on March 23rd. And it re-enters Capricorn and re-enters your house of home and family on July 1st, so the beginning of this month. But it will re-enter Aquarius at the very end of the year on December 17th, and it's then going to be transiting in your house of romance and creativity. And you're a very creative sign. You're ruled by Venus, so that's another part of who you are. So so right now there is a lot around also getting your needs met and tending to that with Saturn re-entering that house. But it's not the easiest. It's a house of endings too. So there might be major endings that are happening as well. And then we had a total solar eclipse occur on June 21st at 2:44 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it occurred at 0 degrees of Cancer. So that's huge because that's at the world axis, and that also anything at 0 degrees of the cardinal signs. And that brings in new beginnings, definitely a time of setting new intentions for you professionally. And I think that will bring in major new beginnings for you because it's such a powerful eclipse. Not only having it be at the world axis, which gives much more power to that eclipse, it was only within a degree of the north node of fate. To have a total solar or a total lunar eclipse, the eclipse has to be within 9 degrees of the nodes of the moon. In this case, is only 1 degree off. I mean, it was out of sign because now the nodes are in Gemini and Sagittarius, and the solar eclipse is at 0 Cancer, but it's only 1 degree of being exact. So that's a huge deal, and you do want to focus on really launching. You're a very cardinal, action-oriented sign, and you can make things happen very well. And so you can utilize that eclipse energy. And there is going to be a second new moon that takes place in that house, and that's going to be on July 20th. And that's going to be at 28 degrees of Cancer. So you're getting 2 new moons. One was a very, very powerful total solar eclipse, new beginnings on a mass level. But then you get a second new moon, and the moon rules the sign. There are a lot of planets retrograde, so please bear with me. But there's a second new moon that occurs in its rulership because the moon rules the sign of Cancer. So that's, really helpful for bringing in and initiating new beginnings for you. But I do feel a lot around networking and around going back to school or taking classes. I think that's very important, and promoting yourself. The ninth house is about promotion and publicity, and I think a lot of you will be going back to school in some way. And with Saturn in Aquarius, it's a fellow air sign. It's very much around communication, and it's ruled by Uranus. In modern astrology, Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius. In ancient astrology, Saturn rules Aquarius. So Saturn is technically in its rulership in Aquarius, but it's not as connected with issues of karma and about business and government and all of that. Capricorn is much more of a heaviness with it. But with Aquarius, we've got more about connecting and networking and friendships, reevaluating the friendships, and hopefully reconnecting and finding a way to build meaningful friendships. And so and connecting with people on a much bigger level, with Aquarius. It's very futuristic in its way, and it's excellent with technology and advancement. So that is going to be helpful for all of us as we rebuild, because this is definitely collapsing of old structures. It's never, the world is permanently changed with all its Capricorn. We're never going to see this much Capricorn in the sky again. And it's, it's been really tough, but yet in many ways, it gives us, it's been horrible, but it also is a time that we can uh, um, carve new goals and seek achievement, and also connect with people in a more meaningful way. Hopefully, it brings out the better in people. And I know the thing is with Mars and Aries, where it's going to be until January 3rd, that's going to, it's great for taking action. So if you partner with people to get things done professionally, where you're having a lot of new beginnings and new opportunities, or to learn or to study something, there's a lot of opportunity with this. And obviously we all have a choice, and we co-create with the energy, but Mars is very fiery, and it's setting off Saturn-Pluto conjunction 3 times. So that's going to be difficult. It's going to bring this whole intensity to another level, and the Mars is going to hit off that Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So again, that conjunction on January 12th that changed the world forever, but it's also rebuilding and rebirthing the world, and we're going to get through this and take initiative. But that Mars is going to trigger and set that off on August 11th. So around the middle of August, you can expect in your own life, maybe there's friction with relationships, or a lot of, maybe you're doing a lot of work with somebody and getting a lot accomplished, but there will probably be a lot of angry energy in the sky at that time. And then in the fall, Mars is going to retrograde from September 9th until November 13th. And that is not a time, ideally, it's not a time to set something new. I would try to plan now to launch something. So if you have your own business, I would definitely do something now. If you know it's in the, if you know it's in the works for the fall, get it going now in some manner, and really get all the details going before the launch, and recognize there will be big delays. Mars is going to get to the second to last degree of Aries. It's basically transiting the entire sign, and therefore it's going to set off the Saturn-Pluto conjunction 3 times around restructuring and death and rebirth. And it's going to bring a lot of delays, and it's it's going to trigger some big issues on the world level. And so it's going to set off that point again, that Saturn-Pluto conjunction, on October 7th, and we'll feel that for a few days. And the third and final time will be on December 19th, right before the winter solstice. So just preparing for the fall, getting things together for your plans, and I'd stock up on things, because you never know. I think there will be delays, whether it's stocking up on food or stocking up on supplies, and also definitely preparing for what you want to launch, because you do have some tremendous professional opportunities at play for you with these eclipses now, affecting you, the new moon and the total solar eclipse. So there's a lot of cardinal energy for the rest of the year, and that's positive for you because you are a cardinal sign. But partnering now, getting things done this summer, getting it in action, I think that's critical. And we have a third and final lunar eclipse that takes place at 13 degrees of Capricorn, and that's falling again. That's emphasizing that in your house of home and family, where this whole Capricorn tale has been for you, around restructuring and perhaps endings and letting go. So that lunar eclipse is occurring, so a lot around family and home and real estate for you. And so that's occurring on July 5th. That's the last eclipse in Capricorn. So we do have strong Capricorn energy until December, because Saturn and Jupiter will be exiting Capricorn at that time. But it's cardinal energy to get things done, but it's also intense in terms of, magnifying this whole story we've all been working with, and I think in a big way. And we have a Jupiter-Neptune sextile that occurs on June 27th, and that's a really manifesting energy. It's very beautiful. And for you, I think it's very creative energy, and it's romantic energy. So utilizing that, and I wish you a lot of luck. Again, The Mars energy is going to be very intense this summer, and recognize the fact that you will be having a lot around relationships, conflict, partnering, perhaps in a romantic way. I would say there is a lot of opportunity for that, definitely going for that, but knowing that there's going to be a lot of reflection and review around relationships for you. And you're the sign of partnerships. So I wish you a lot of luck, Libra. Thank you. Okay, bye.